Well, it meant a job on Blue Bloods. Well, the director said, maybe you ought to play this guy without a mustache. I said,
The camera opens on a still morning at Tom Selleck's ranch. The fog drifts low over the barren avocado groves, sunlight creeping across a porch where a man once known as America's most dependable face now sits in silence. His knees ache, his hands tremble slightly as he grips a mug of coffee. The house feels too large, the land too dry. Outside, the wind moves through the dead trees like whispers from another time. Inside, the air carries the faint scent of leather and rain, echoes of a man who once rode horses through these same hills, certain he'd grow old with grace. Now the silence feels heavier, as if the land itself remembers his prime. In 2025, at 80 years old, Tom Selleck confessed on live television that he feared losing everything he had built. The audience thought he was joking. He wasn't. Decades earlier, he'd lived another kind of myth, a secret marriage under a fake name, a helicopter crash that killed a cameraman, a water theft scandal that made him a headline for all the wrong reasons, and a son who spiraled into addiction. Each chapter chipped away at the image of perfection the public once adored. His smile had become a mask, his voice a memory of an America that no longer existed. The story of Tom Selleck isn't about fame alone. It's about what fame costs when it collides with decency. A man raised to work, to endure, and to protect found himself fighting battles that money and reputation couldn't fix. Behind the mustache and calm authority was someone haunted by near misses, quiet guilt, and the loneliness that success leaves behind. Today, as the headlines recycle his name once more, it isn't to celebrate a comeback. It's to witness the closing act of a man who once embodied stability in an unstable world. The ranch creaks with age. The air smells faintly of dust and citrus. Somewhere inside, a typewriter sits open on the last page of his memoir, the final words underlined twice. You never know. And that phrase, half warning, half prayer, is exactly where this story begins. Tom Selleck was born on January 29, 1945, in Detroit, Michigan, a city roaring with industry and ambition. The post-war boom was in full swing, and the smell of motor oil and iron filled the streets. His father, Robert, had served as a mechanic working on B-29 bombers during the war, a man shaped by discipline and quiet pride. His mother, Martha, ran the household with gentle times, he lost. Millions watched him smile through rejection on national television. It was public humiliation, but hidden inside that moment was the seed of destiny. A casting agent noticed him, drawn not by charm, but by his composure. Soon after, Tom found himself filming a Pepsi commercial, drenched in sweat beneath hot lights, dunking basketballs again and again until he nearly fainted. The paycheck was small, but the experience sparked something. The camera didn't intimidate him, it intrigued him. Then came 1967. Vietnam loomed over every young man's future. Rather than wait to be drafted, Tom enlisted in the California National Guard's 161st Infantry Regiment. For 6 years, from 1967 to 1973, he served with quiet pride. He rose through the ranks, training at the California Military Academy and eventually earning the title of sergeant. His discipline, his precision, his composure, all sharpened there. When riots broke out in Watts, he was deployed on home soil, guarding streets that felt too familiar. It was a sobering experience, one that stripped away the illusions of glamour or control. Yet while he served, Hollywood moved on without him. His contract with 20th Century Fox was canceled. The message was clear. In an industry that thrived on momentum, absence was death. Tom would later recall driving to auditions with his uniform still hanging in the back seat, a soldier and a dreamer, switching roles as needed. It was in that duality that he began shaping the essence of who he'd become on screen. A man who led quietly, who carried duty like armor. When his service ended, he didn't celebrate. He went back to work. He joined the Beverly Hills Playhouse, studying under the notorious acting coach Milton Katselas. Katselas was ruthless. His classes broke students down to their core, demanding tears, rage, and authenticity. Tom endured it all. The yelling, the ego clashes, the exhaustion, because he understood what few actors did. Resilience wasn't built in comfort. At night, he went home to his small apartment, studying scripts until dawn. He wasn't chasing celebrity anymore. He was chasing craft. That difference would one day set him apart. Hollywood didn't roll out red carpets for Tom Selleck. It tested him instead. Returning from the military, he threw himself into acting full-time, but the industry was cold. Directors admired his face and build, yet complained he was too tall, too stiff, too serious. "You're great, but we can't shoot around you," they'd say. The rejection was relentless, but he took it like a soldier, quietly, with endurance. Throughout the early 1970s, he scraped together guest roles, sometimes earning less than his rent. On The Rockford Files, he played Lance White, a charming detective with a moral compass. It was a small role, but it mattered. The show's star, James Garner, saw him as competition. Their on-set tension was legendary, a clash between old-school swagger and emerging authenticity. Yet in hindsight, that conflict shaped Tom's approach to storytelling. He realized he couldn't play characters for laughs or charm alone. They needed sincerity. Then came Daughters of Satan, 1972, shot in the Philippines under brutal conditions. The production was a nightmare. Miscommunication, missing safety gear, pyrotechnics that misfired. During one fire scene, a blast came too close. His hair singed, his eyebrows nearly gone. He kept filming. He didn't complain. The crew later said it was the moment they realized he wasn't just handsome, he was fearless. Between roles, he took modeling jobs to survive. Salem cigarette ads made him money but haunted him later. When fame arrived, journalists dredged them up as proof of hypocrisy. For Tom, it was a bitter reminder that every compromise made in desperation becomes a weapon later in success. Still, he didn't disown his past. "It paid the bills," he once said, "and it taught me how to look someone in the eye under pressure." Years passed like that. Near misses, short-lived pilots, auditions that went nowhere. By 1979, he was ready to quit. He'd done 6 pilots that never aired. His savings were gone. Friends suggested teaching or real estate. But then came Magnum P.I, a role he didn't even like at first glance. The first script painted Thomas Magnum as a cartoonish Bond imitation. Tom told the producers flatly, "I don't want to play what I look like." That honesty almost cost him the job, and then saved it. What followed was one of the most defining roles in television history. But in that moment, all he knew was this: he'd finally found a character worth fighting for. When Magnum P.I finally went into production, Tom Selleck didn't realize he was stepping into television history. The first scripts were rewritten under his influence, transforming a shallow action hero into a complex, warm, and quietly haunted man. It was that humanity that drew millions of viewers. His charm wasn't in his muscles or mustache, it was in the sense that he was real. But fate was cruelly ironic. In 1980, while Magnum filmed in Hawaii, Steven Spielberg and George Lucas approached him for the lead in Raiders of the Lost Ark. The part was his, until CBS refused to release him from his contract. Bound by obligation, he watched as Harrison Ford's career exploded. The heartbreak was softened only by professionalism. "You play the hand you're dealt," he said. Few realized how deeply that phrase would echo in his life. During Magnum's second season, tragedy struck. A helicopter crashed during filming, killing cameraman Robert Vander Kar. Tom was shattered. He used his influence to demand stricter safety measures, fighting executives who saw budgets, not people. His insistence changed production standards across television, a small legacy hidden behind the fame. As the show soared to global success, pressure mounted. CBS tried to slash costs. Tom refused. He fought for fair pay for the crew, for location shoots, for realism. The work consumed him. For nearly a decade, he was everywhere. Magazine covers, awards, late-night interviews, yet the public saw only ease. Behind the grin, he was fighting exhaustion and loneliness. By the time Magnum P.I. ended in 1988, 50 million people tuned in to watch him walk toward the light in the final episode. The moment felt symbolic, not just the death of a character, but the closing of a chapter in American television. Off-screen, Selleck stood at a crossroads, loved by millions, respected by peers, but quietly hollowed out by the weight of keeping that illusion alive. As the credits rolled that night, he turned off the TV in his trailer and sat in silence. Fame had made him immortal, but at a cost he was only beginning to understand. After Magnum, Tom became a movie star, at least for a while. Three Men and a Baby, 1987, made $167 million and spawned a bizarre ghost rumor. Viewers swore they saw a boy standing behind a curtain in one scene. The tabloids went wild. Tom laughed on talk shows, explaining it was a cardboard cutout of Ted Danson. Still, the myth sold more VHS tapes than truth ever could. He pursued roles that reflected integrity. Quigley Down Under, 1990, tested his endurance in the Australian outback, where the heat cracked the earth and horses outlasted equipment. Critics praised him. Audiences stayed away. When Batman, 1989, came calling, he declined, unconvinced comic book movies had a future. Within a year, Michael Keaton's version rewrote cinema. Tom's instincts, once flawless, were suddenly outdated. In Mr. Baseball, 1992, he tried comedy again, playing an aging Yankee lost in Japan. The humor felt strained, the box office weak. A few years later, The Closer, 1998, collapsed after 10 episodes. He retreated to his ranch, convinced Hollywood had moved on, but he wasn't done yet. In and Out, 1997, changed everything. The 12-second on-screen kiss with Kevin Kline shocked audiences who saw Selleck as the conservative American male ideal. He handled the controversy with grace, reminding reporters that acting was about empathy, not politics. The scene became a quiet milestone in mainstream representation, proof that even old-school heroes could evolve. By the late 1990s, he'd reinvented himself again, not as a superstar, but as a working actor willing to fail publicly and gracefully. Off-screen, Tom's personal life told a more fragile story. He married model Jacqueline Ray in 1971. She stood by him through years of obscurity, through auditions that went nowhere, and through debts that quietly piled up. When fame finally arrived in the early 1980s, it changed the balance between them. The island shoots, the fan attention, the tabloid gossip, all eroded what they'd built. In 1982, they divorced. She left with a car, a house, and 3 years of support. He left with guilt. Then came Jilly Mack. He'd first seen her dancing in the West End musical Cats. Obsessed, he returned 12 times before finally meeting her. 5 years later, they married in secret at Lake Tahoe, under fake names, Tom Jenkins and Susie Mark. The minister didn't even know who he was. They forgot their marriage license, sending someone racing to Reno before dinner. It was intimate, absurd, and deeply human. Their daughter Hannah was born in 1988 on the family ranch in Ventura County. The ranch became both sanctuary and prison, a place where fame couldn't intrude but loneliness could. Hannah grew up surrounded by animals, rather than neighbors. Her father was often away filming. Her mother tried to fill the silence. Horses became Hannah's refuge. Tom later admitted he feared that isolation had shaped her too much, that his attempt to protect her from Hollywood had also kept her apart from the world. He also formally adopted Kevin, Jacqueline's son, in 1987. Kevin's struggles with addiction and debt nearly broke the family. Tom paid for rehab, offered guidance, and absorbed disappointment after disappointment. It was the one battle he couldn't win. Yet, even amid pain, he never disowned him. To friends, that loyalty defined Selleck more than any role ever could. In 2015, the ranch made headlines for the wrong reason. Investigators accused Tom of diverting 1.4 million gallons of water during California's worst drought. Tanker trucks, hidden hydrants, legal filings. It sounded like a crime novel. Tom settled the case quietly, paying over $21,000. For a man once praised for honesty, it was a public humiliation, but he faced it the way he always had. Head down, voice steady, eyes forward. By the 2000s, Blue Bloods gave Tom one last reign. As Commissioner Frank Reagan, he embodied authority again. Calm, moral, unbending. He earned $200,000 per episode, yet the role demanded more than money. He fought for creative control, insisting on weekly family dinner scenes to anchor the show in authenticity. Viewers saw nostalgia. Tom saw a mirror of the family dinners he'd lost long ago. Behind the scenes, things grew painful. Arthritis crept into his knees. A stunt injury in 2015 worsened it until by 2024, he required double knee replacement. Photos showed long scars. On set, he needed help standing between takes. He smiled through agony because quitting terrified him. Acting was no longer ambition, it was survival. Then CBS asked the cast to take a 25% pay cut to save the show. Tom agreed, losing over $1 million personally. When the network canceled Blue Bloods in 2024, he pleaded for reconsideration, reminding executives that it was still one of their top-rated dramas. They didn't listen. The final episode aired that December. He read a poem. Crew members wept. For him, it felt like déjà vu, another ending he hadn't wanted. Meanwhile, the ranch that once represented peace began dying around him. Years of drought destroyed nearly all 2,500 avocado trees and even ancient oaks. The soil cracked. The business collapsed. "I don't even like avocados," he once joked. "I just sell them." By 2023, there was nothing left to sell. The land had become a monument to endurance, beautiful, barren, and heartbreakingly expensive. His memoir, You Never Know, arrived in 2024, co-written with Ellis Henneken. For 320 pages, he dissected his life with humility and dry humor. The car crash, the missed films, the mistakes. It wasn't an apology, it was a reckoning. Readers felt they finally met the man behind the mustache. It climbed bestseller lists, but Tom Sun sets over those quiet Ventura hills, Tom Selleck's story stands as more than a Hollywood biography. It's a mirror of endurance, loss, and grace under pressure. From stardom to solitude, he remains proof that even legends can fade with dignity. His life reminds us that success is temporary, but integrity endures. If you found this story moving, make sure to like, subscribe, and share for more true Hollywood chronicles, where the spotlight fades, but the truth still shines.